Welcome back, trainers! You're with PewterCityJim for a bonus solo episode. This time I'm taking part in the Fakemon Ultra Collab. You might remember last year's entry into this awesome series. It's where we met Vigilune for the first time. He's based on a cryptid called the Dark Watchers because cryptid was last year's theme. This year, the theme is Duality, and of course you are all invited to take part. This is a community project, so if you want to draw your own Duality-inspired monsters, feel free to do so. Use the hashtag Fakemon Ultra Collab 2023 so your video can be added to the playlist. I'll be tagging a couple of my favorite creators at the end of the video too, but it's definitely an entirely voluntary thing, so there's no pressure to participate if you don't have the time. Anyway, before we get into the designs, for those who might be new, welcome! The Solar Region is this channel's ongoing project where we create Fakemon to inhabit a region based around Southern California and some of the surrounding areas. We have a lot of amazing biomes to work with here. Cities, the ocean, deserts, suburbs. We've already got over 70 Fakemon, from deadly fish all the way to sumo-centric centrics. On this channel, we do a lot of Let's Play stuff, mostly centered around Pokemon, but some other monster taming franchises have snuck in as well. But a lot of what we do here is art-based and centered around Fakemon. If any of that sounds like fun to you, awesome. Feel free to smash that like button as though you're using Mega Punch for the first time after a trip to the Move Tutor. Teach that subscribe button a lesson or two by mega kicking it until the bell tolls. And headbutt your way into the comments section if you'd like to let us all know what you're thinking. I'd love to hear from you. And remember, trainer, you are welcome here. Now, Duality. What is it? It's a pair of things that are connected, but different at the same time. Two sides of the same coin. Light and dark, good and evil, yin and yang, truth and lies, delivery and DiGiorno. You get the idea. Juxtaposition, opposing forces, very fertile ground for Pokemon concepts. The canon games have given us plenty of examples of Pokemon dealing with duality. Girafarig with its crazy tail, Magikarp evolving from useless to fearless, and then you have pairs of Pokemon. Umbreon and Espeon appearing as a pair in Johto, Groudon versus Kyogre, Fussil and Minun. I think Reshiram and Zekrom are probably the best example of this that I can think of. I wanted this to be a Pokemon that would live in Sola. I wanted it to fit, and the biggest duality I see in Southern California is moisture. Wet versus dry, sun and sand versus surf. Being a desert, it doesn't rain much here, but people have figured ways around that to keep their lawns and gardens looking nice. The humble sprinkler is an invention many homes can't do without. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of folks do AstroTurf to resemble an ice cream lawn, and even more people do Desertscape and stone to cut down on water use and to give some native and desert-dwelling plants a home. But some folks, you'd never convince them that having a big, lush lawn isn't worthwhile. I mean, it's not. Lawns are actually kind of a pet peeve for me, personally. At least the way they're done out here. But that's a topic for... well, it's probably not a topic for another video because who wants to listen to me whine and rant about resource-guzzling monoculture ecosystems in the name of simple aesthetics being bad? Probably not you, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, I guess. Anyway, the lawn sprinkler didn't come from California. It was actually first patented in Buffalo, New York in 1871. So we'll say this Pokemon is more of a recent import, I guess, from Unova. Still, we have the second most golf courses in the US with a current total of 921, and those use a lot of sprinklers to keep those greens green. They also show up in areas where there's a lot of greenery, beside freeways and in publicly maintained areas of grass. They aren't always well taken care of, though, and especially during the summer you see a lot of them fall into disrepair with exposed piping and clogged heads. So, let's find a nice spot in a cozy neighborhood and talk lawn sprinklers, shall we? First of all, let's get this out on the table right away. I love Objectmon. I've talked about this in a few videos, but I really genuinely think a lot of them are super creative. I'll pop a few links in the description so I'm not repeating myself too much here, but a lawn sprinkler Objectmon was something that came to me a long time ago, and so this is a great opportunity to get it out there. The duality prompt, though, that spurred on a surprising turn of events. In terms of design, the first form is a very simple one. This little man is made of steel, has hollow arms it uses to shoot its water attacks, but it also has a hovering steel sprinkler system above its head. This would be where it spurts water from when not attacking, but while watering your lawn. Stonely is a Pokemon you'd find on people's gravel-covered yards, whereas this little fellow is one that you'd find on someone's green grassy lawn. Its little legs are dirty because it's been buried up to its waist in the earth, gently shooting water out of the halo-esque ring on its head to water the grass, while reserving the big cannons it carries for bugs, birds, and herbivores who might attach the patch of greenery it calls home. Here we have Intrasquirt, the sprinkler Pokemon. This shy and easily startled Pokemon just wants to stake out a small section of lawn to call its own. It waters this lawn and makes it lush and vibrant, while being on the lookout for anyone who might do it or its grass harm. Here are your stats and moves. It learns a lot of simple attacks and buffing moves to keep itself safe. Stats are nothing to write home about though. So, I love superheroes, and I'm especially a big fan of Superman. I have been since I can remember. I recall as a kid nearly choking myself trying to tie a tea towel around my neck as a makeshift cape. I never did jump off the roof though. Anyway, the idea of a guy with all those godlike powers who's just plain good and who's happy to do things like get a regular job and visit his mom when he's not saving people from natural disasters or beating up intergalactic warlords? I love it. I'm also a massive fan of other similar characters like All Might. Why do I bring this up? Well, our mild-mannered lawn sprinkler is about to evolve into a hero to anyone out there whose lawn is looking a little on the deserty side. Southern California wouldn't be Southern California without Hollywood, where all those big-budget hero flicks get made, and that's been a driving force at the theater for a decade and a half now. In short, I needed a heroic Pokemon to make an appearance at some point, and I think I've found its niche. What's more heroic, after all, than bringing water to a place that needs it? There are a couple of Pokemon that are themed like Sentai in the canon games, and there's a more general tokusatsu hero sort of inspirations there as well, but this one is a little bit more Western in design inspiration. This design is a stretching and slight reworking of the prior one. I segmented the body differently, of course. This one's proportions are more stretched out and anthropomorphic. He's got finger guns that shoot water in more concentrated bursts, and he's sporting a flowing watery cape. That scared, bemused expression has become one of pure joy. This critter loves its job. It can't get enough of that watery rush that comes with helping people, Pokemon, and plants stay hydrated. Colors are the same, though this fellow flies around now rather than burying itself in the mud, so there's no brown. I shaded it with blue and added a water texture to finish it off. And here we have Victorant, the heroic Pokemon. Victorant hover around Sola, hydrating areas of vegetation that look like they need to be saved. They also provide water to the thirsty and help put out fires, be they brush fires or house fires. They have a brave spirit and a deep desire to help those in need. Here are your stats and moves. That's a massive boost in stats, and there are a lot more water-type moves and even a few flying-type ones. What's a superhero that can't fly, after all? And here you have it, guys, Intrasquirt and Victorant. Well, we do have one more Pokemon to see. We are dealing with Duality, after all. Let's go find a place more appropriate for our next guest. So, one thing you see a lot out here is busted up, clogged, and unusable sprinklers. Older, unoccupied homes have them a lot. Areas of public land that just aren't looked after have them too. Exposed pipes that bake and crack in the sun, dirty sprinkler heads caked in dried mud. A lot of times, even if you turn these sprinklers on, they won't work. The lines are busted up, or the heads are so clogged the pressure makes them fly off, or just leak furiously in one spot. They have to be ripped up and replaced. But in Sola, they come alive. So, this Pokemon is what happens when Intrasquirt dries out completely and can't water its lawn anymore. It's a broken, dried out series of pipes that have pulled themselves up out of the ground along with an island of dried up clay and old dead grass. Are there any thoughts in this beast's head? Nope. It's just mad about life. Or unlife, as the case may be. It is a ghost type after all. It retains the head shape of Intrasquirt and Victorant, but the steel is so dusty it's just colored a light beige. It does still have the floating sprinkler halo above its head, but that thing is clogged and useless. I lit it from below to further highlight that this thing isn't nearly so sweet and shy as Intrasquirt, or as brave and selfless as Victorant. This thing is just... it's the spirit of drought. It's dry, it's dusty, mean-spirited, and it will be happy to ruin your day. Those fangs aren't just for show either. They will bite you to drain away those delicious, delicious fluids, just like any other good spider monster would. Meet Droughtera, the dry Pokemon. Droughtera are a nightmare for any neighborhood. They are large, destructive, and can pop up on any street with a dead dry lawn. They hit Victorant with the burning rage of the solar sun itself. Their fights are legendary. Here are your stats and moves. As a ground and ghost type, it gets a lot of neat new moves to choose from, and the stats are pretty good too. Not as powerful as Victorant, but it has contingencies to combat those inadequacies in raw strength. You would get these Pokemon by evolving your Intrasquirt using one of two methods. Waterstone gets you Victorant, the hero of hydration. For Droughtera, you have to do something very different. You must take it to the move deleter and remove any and all water-type moves from its arsenal. In other words, you need to dry that sucker out. Once that's done, level it up and it will evolve into the dusty nightmare monster Drautaran. Big thanks to Misty for helping me come up with these evolution methods, by the way. So, a superhero and an artificial spider. There's a reference there, but I'll let you find it. In terms of abilities, Intrasquirt has Damp. This prevents self-destruction moves from going off. Its hidden ability is Grass Pelt. This boosts its defense stat when the terrain is grassy terrain. Perfect for a little lawn sprinkler. Victorant has Drizzle. This activates rainy weather as soon as it enters battle. For its hidden ability, it has Grassy Surge. This activates grassy terrain once it enters battle. This would make it the perfect training partner for any Intrasquirt it happens to take on as a sidekick. Drautera has no hidden ability, but it does have 2 possible abilities that are custom designed to deal with the water-wielding proclivities of its sibling evolution and mortal enemy. Water Compaction, which sharply raises defense when hit by a water-type move, and Dry Skin. This gives HP back to Drautera when it's hit by a water-type move, and heals it when the weather is raining. It does take increased fire-type damage though, and if Sunny Day is in effect, it loses HP. Maybe that's why it's always in such a bad mood. Sol is very sunny. Maybe that causes Drautera a constant low level of pain. Seems legit. It is a ghost as well. Here are your shinies. They were honestly a little tough to come up with, but I hope you like them. And here's your egg. So where would you find these guys? Like I said earlier, you'd find Intrasquirt embedded into grassy lawns, and as such, you'd mostly stumble across them in towns. They would be a random encounter available on only obviously well-maintained lawns. You wouldn't be able to catch Victorant in the wild. They have far more important things to do than let you overcome them in their quest for justice and moisture. But you would definitely find plenty of Drautera out there in the old abandoned ghost towns of Sola. There are a lot of those, and the hot Sola sun has done the work of drying poor little Intrasquirt out over time. So, there you have my entry for the Ultra Collab Duality Challenge. Good versus evil. Hero versus monster. Wet versus dry. I want to thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out all the other entries available through the hashtag Fakemon Ultra Collab 2023. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tag Lisartino. Her Provence-inspired region is awesome, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. All the links to these guys will be in the description. Video audio is in French, but there are English subtitles on each video. Red Paragon G, a good mix of content, but Red's Urblin region is so cool, and it would be great to see more Fakemon from their channel for sure. Always very cute designs. And finally, Helix Cartography. Only a few videos on this channel so far, but from my interactions with them, they're a super nice creator, and they have a truckload of imagination apparent in their Fakemon designs so far. So guys, if you've got time, I would love to see what you folks come up with. Again, though, absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Consider this more of a wish list on my part than anything. And there you have it, trainers. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to catching you in the next one. But till then, take care. Bye.